1. The sky already knew something I didn't. Gray, heavy, low, pressing down over the hills like it had been holding this rain in for days and had finally run out of patience. I parked at the edge of the trail and just sat there for a moment, looking up at it. This is the kind of weather most people turn around for. I'm not most people. I stepped out, felt the first few drops land on my arm, cool and scattered, the kind of rain that's warning you before it really begins. I started unloading the gear. No rush yet. Just a steady, familiar rhythm. I've done this enough times that my hands know what to grab first. The site I picked sits on a slight rise, looking out over the valley. Flat ground. Good drainage. Far enough from the treeline that nothing falls on me in the night. Close enough that I'm not fully exposed to the wind. By the time I had everything laid out, the rain had picked up. Not light anymore. Real rain. The kind that turns the whole mountain into one long, continuous sound. I looked at the sky one more time, pulled my hood up, and got to work. This tent is not small. 3 rooms, inflatable frame, which means no fiddly poles, no fighting wind with bent aluminum rods while rain runs down the back of your neck. Just air and a pump and patience. I rolled it out flat first. Checked the orientation, entrance facing away from the wind, the whole structure angled so rain runs off and away rather than pooling against any seam. Then the pump. The structural beams filled first, thick, firm, rising up out of the flat fabric like the tent was inhaling. Within a few minutes the frame was standing on its own, holding its shape against gusts that would have flattened a pole tent without a fight. I staked every corner down. Then the guy lines pulled tight, angled properly, because in wind and rain a loose line is the difference between a stable shelter and a flapping mess at 2 in the morning. Room by room, the shape came together. A sleeping room, a living space in the middle, a small vestibule near the entrance for boots and wet gear, so the rain stays where the rain belongs, and everything dry stays dry. I stood back for a second, soaked through at this point, and looked at it. Solid. Steady. Not moving an inch despite the wind pulling at it from every direction. Good. That's all I needed to see. 3. Stepping inside changes everything. The rain is still there. You can hear it, constant, drumming on the fabric above. But it's somewhere else now. Outside. Not your problem anymore. I peel off the wet layers in the vestibule and leave them there. Dry clothes from this point on. The middle room is where I spend most of my time. I unfold a small camp chair, set up a low table beside it. A second chair across from it, just in case, though tonight it's just me. I clip a warm light to the tent ceiling. Not bright, not harsh. Just enough to fill the space with a soft amber glow that makes the whole tent feel like a room rather than a shelter. A thick mat goes down on the floor, warm underfoot, soft enough to sit on directly if I want to. In the sleeping room, I roll out the mattress and inflate it, then layer it with a deep, warm sleeping bag and an actual pillow, not a stuffed sack, an actual pillow, because comfort matters and there's no rule that says camping has to mean discomfort. I sit back in the chair for the first time since I arrived. Listen to the rain on the roof. And exhale. 4. The small stove goes in the vestibule, ventilated, safe, just far enough from the main rooms. I fill the kettle from my water supply and set it on the flame. While it heats, I start on dinner. Something simple tonight, a one-pot meal, vegetables and rice, everything going in together. Out here you don't need complicated food. You need warm food. There's a difference, and after a day like today, warm is what matters most. The kettle starts to hum before it whistles. I pull it off just before the boil, pour it slowly over the coffee grounds, and watch the steam rise and curl and disappear into the tent's quiet air. That smell, coffee, rain, damp canvas, is one of my favorite smells in the world. I genuinely don't know how to recreate it anywhere else. I cup the mug in both hands and just hold it for a moment before drinking. Outside, the rain has turned into something heavier. I can hear it through the fabric, a steady, layered sound, almost rhythmic, almost musical if you let yourself hear it that way. I take the first sip. Hot. Simple. Exactly right. The food finishes a few minutes later. I eat slowly, sitting in the chair, listening to the storm do whatever it wants outside while I stay completely warm and completely dry just a few feet away from it. 5. There's a specific kind of quiet that exists inside a tent during heavy rain. It's not silence. The rain is loud, constant, everywhere. But it's a sound that asks nothing of you. It doesn't need you to respond. It doesn't need you to do anything at all. I turn the light down low, lean back in the chair, and just listen. The rain hits the tent fabric in layers, heavier in gusts, softer in between, sometimes a longer drop falling from the trees above landing distinct and separate from the rest. Somewhere out there the wind moves through the valley, and every so often I hear it pass over the tent, pressing gently against the fabric before moving on. This is the part of camping people don't always talk about. Not the hiking, not the views, not the photos. This. Just sitting still, completely sheltered, completely warm, while something large and wild happens just outside the thin wall beside you. There's no pressure in this moment. No task. No deadline. Just rain. And warmth. And the quiet hum of being exactly where you intended to be. I close my eyes for a while. Not asleep. Just present. 6. At some point the rain gets heavier still. I unzip the small window flap just enough to look out. The whole valley has disappeared into gray. Sheets of rain moving sideways in the wind, the distant tree line barely visible, water already running in small channels down the slope just beyond the tent. It's intense out there. Genuinely intense. I zip the flap back down. Inside, none of that exists. The light is warm. The air is dry. My coffee mug, now empty, sits on the table beside a half-read book. The sleeping bag waits in the next room, already warm from the small heater running low. This contrast is the whole reason I do this. Anyone can experience comfort in comfortable conditions. That's not interesting. But comfort built deliberately, by your own hands, in the middle of something genuinely difficult outside. That's different. That actually means something. I run my hand along the inner wall of the tent and feel it hold steady against another gust. Strong. Reliable. Built for exactly this. I sit back down, pull a blanket over my legs, and let the storm be the storm. It has nowhere to come in. I settle into the sleeping bag, listening to the steady rain above. As I think back on the drive, the camp setup, and the quiet moments of the day, I'm reminded why I come out here in storms. It's not about perfect weather, it's about finding peace in the wild. Warm and dry inside, with rain and wind all around, I close my eyes and drift off to sleep. See you in the next one.